bad feeling I'm about to get told the biggest pile of bullshit I ever heard. McGee didn't answer. The smell was stronger now, and he realized it was on his partner, too. Himself as well, probably. The fire department had finally declared the site safe yesterday, after the fire had smoldered for several days. He and Robbins had visited, picking their way carefully through the part-burnt beams and charred remains of furniture, of people's lives. He let his mind roam through it again now, as if he were back there. "You sure you're okay for this?" Robbins asked again, looking closely at McGee. "I can take the lead if you want." But McGee wasn't ready to be put out to sea just yet, and Robbins wasn't yet ready to lead. "I'm fine," the older man said. McGee pressed down the handle at last and stepped inside. 2. The woman was sitting at the table, waiting to begin. She was dressed in what McGee guessed were borrowed clothes from the hospital, a loose beige shirt and shapeless pants, chocolate brown. He got the smell again, stronger now. Burnt wood, plastic. With a fire that big, maybe you just couldn't quite get it out, no matter how hard you scrubbed. Kate Marshall, married but hadn't taken her husband's surname, was an attractive woman in her mid to late 30s, with dark hair and a slim, athletic figure. McGee had noted how she'd turned heads in the police station when he'd first seen her, even with her face a mask of grief. But it wasn't the woman's looks that now stood out. It was how defeated she appeared. She slumped in her chair, shoulders rounded. Strands of hair that had escaped from her ponytail hung still and listless. The only movement, McGee noticed, was her eyes darting left and right around the desktop, like a cat chasing a laser beam. Then she closed them, as if seeking relief. McGee pulled out a chair opposite and sat down. He continued to watch her, thinking. And then she slowly drew her head up and looked right at him, holding McGee's gaze in a way he didn't expect. He looked back, trying to see behind her eyes, still tasting those burnt notes on his tongue. She stared back, threads of green running through the brown of her irises. From somewhere he felt a pang of sympathy for the woman, then took a breath to push it away. Robbins sat down next to him, depositing his thick file of paperwork on the table with a loud thwack, which caused Kate to glance towards him. McGee noticed this irked him for some reason, just a tiny amount. But then Robbins's lack of subtlety sometimes had that effect. McGee looked around the room. A video camera stood on a tripod in one corner, already recording. On another table, pushed against the wall, was a tray with a pump-action flask of coffee. He reached across, turned over a cup, and filled it. He offered it to her, but she shook her head. He lifted one eyebrow at this, but followed it with a slight shrug. He took a sip himself. It was bitter and too hot. "How are you, Kate?" he asked, putting the cup down carefully so that the handle pointed at right angles to the table edge. He made his voice soft, sympathetic. Whether or not the woman had done anything criminal, she'd clearly been through a lot. "You get much sleep?" For a moment, Kate just sat there, head held loose, shoulders still stooped forward. Then she raised her head and turned those green-brown eyes on him once again. "A little." "That's good. They got you in that hotel across from the gas station?" They'd discussed holding her in the cells, but decided she was no flight risk. Not without her son. She nodded. "How is it? The room, I mean. Not too bad, I hope?" "It's okay." Suddenly, she attempted a smile. It was just a flicker, but McGee read from it what he could. She was either sending a signal, consciously or unconsciously, that she wanted to help them make sense of this madness, that she was cooperating. Or perhaps it was the mask of a cold, manipulative psychopath who was simply feeding him what he expected to see. He'd seen plenty of both over the years. He let the matching curve on his own lips fade away. "You sure about the coffee?"